Yes,
thank you very much, by the way. It's been like 5 years now. This is the 6 years since first time I came to Istanbul and joined.
Yeah, you are visiting so many times. You're always welcome to Istanbul. Istanbul Java
It's my pleasure. No, it's my pleasure. I love Turkey. I love you people as a people, friends, and I have a lot of Turkish friends, even here in Serbia. And I usually go to Turkish restaurant because it's very close to Egypt as a culture and the food and everything. But there is like a tight relationship between us. Hey, Altuk.
Hello.
hello, my friend. How are you doing?
Thank you very much, Mohamed.
No, thank you.
Everything is okay?
Yes.
Someone is talking about food. I jumped directly when hearing food.
Food, yes, definitely. Your food and our food is very great extension. Anyone goes to Turkey or Egypt, they see like the amazing food. This is the norm, guys. You don't know how the food tastes unless you go to Turkey or Egypt. Even for us, Egyptian and Turkish, we have a lot of similarity, but just the word changed. Chofte, chababi, it's chababing chofte, but the same thing, even for sweets. So because I'm in Serbia, I learned about all your sweet names because it's totally different from Egypt. We have the same thing, but different names. Like when I was like, this is kunafa. No, this is kataif. This is biklava. No, this is something else. Okay.
We hope to see each other face to face and taste
I wish. I really wish.
Together.
Indeed. I just a couple of days I posted a picture that we were gathering. It was like a group after the conference, and it was very, very nice memories.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was a birthday from one of our friend, which is one friend of you as well. And then I found this picture I posted. It was 2000, maybe 15 or 16, something like this.
Yes.
Or 17, sorry. Yeah, 17.
Well, I hope we will meet again next year or after the next year. We will meet in Istanbul. I hope.
Inshallah.
Okay.
So we have 3 minutes.
Yes.
Hey.
Okay. Wish you good luck. And
Thank you.
Turn off my camera.
So just tell me if it's okay. So I will start.
You can start. And time is up. It's okay.
Okay.
3 later.
Okay, 2 minutes.
Yeah. Bye.
Good presentation.
Thank you. So it's only 1 minute to start. So it's time to start. First off, I would like to thank you for attending my session, and I'm very pleased to be among my Turkish friends or all the people who joined from around the world. There is also some Egyptians I know they sent to me that they are signed. Welcome to you as well, and welcome to everyone. Very happy to be in this Java Day Istanbul again for the 5th time. So it's very close to my heart. Thank you for organizers and the team for having me also this time. So let's start because I have a lot to say about the new things, which is I call the presentation the cool thing about cool things in Java. 16 and 17. 17, all the things that happens until this moment because it's early access. So we have a lot of things that is going to be added until next September. But I wanted to give you like a background of what we will have in this version because it's very important. It's LTS. So we have to go to speak about this. But before, my name is Mohamed Taman, and I'm Egyptian. I'm living in Serbia, in Belgrade. I'm working as a chief solution architect for a company called E4Tel. It's a telecommunication company. And beside that, I'm Java champion, Oracle groundbreaker ambassador, and author. You will find most of the things that I'm speaking about, or like architecture-wise, definitely JDK stuff, Jakarta EE sometimes, and some Spring proof of concept or whatever it's related to Java ecosystem, even databases, code reviews, architecture. I write many articles for Java magazine and also Oracle magazine, and you'll find some publications also in MFQ and IBM developer about the Jigsaw project and the whole related. The same like the publication that I had here showing to you. I wrote about JavaFX, GDK, and definitely G Shell because it's a very powerful tool. Most of the things that me as a Java champion, my fellow Java champions that talked about what is the most interesting features they found in Java 16, I have added those two links. You can, when I will publish this presentation, it's already online, but I will give it to the team to publish it for you, or just you follow me in order to have it on from my Twitter. So everything here clickable, so you can go to the article, read about the features and everything, and also know about the most important features and why we consider it important. So those mainly covering some of the important features in, or if not all the features in JDK 16. So how to talk to me or to contact me, you are welcome definitely at any time. I am always on Twitter. Nowadays, I'm heavily on LinkedIn, and when you go, you will know why. All my code, articles code, books code, everything, proof of concept, very well documented, and everything to be as a blueprint or something for people to learn from. I put it on my GitHub. You are welcome to visit, make a pull request for and ask about anything, or simply you can Google my name, Mohamed Taman, and everything will be out there for you. Contact me and you are welcome. Now let's move to our presentation. And this is our agenda, what we are going to speak about today. I would like to give you an overview of Java important features that make Java more and more innovative and adequate and compact in the way that we are catching the 6 months release cadence, and how we are also introducing this feature in order to get your feedback. This is very important because those are the basic concepts, and we will talk about it. Then we will see what we have in Java 16 and 17. This is exclusive for you. I always talk about 16, but this is the first time I will talk about 17 as well here. And we will see what is the language changes. And then we will see as well as there is a language change in the statements and the constructs and everything. Yes, we have also API and new improvement on when we write our code, not just the language, the API itself, like string class, sockets, communication channels, file system modification and reading, memory management. All of these we have to know about in order to make use of the language more and more efficiently. And definitely, as there is some stuff comes to the language, there is some stuff or becomes obsolete and doesn't make sense anymore. So we have to remove it and say bye-bye for all of them. So we have to know about these, because when the time comes to migrate to the newer version, we have to know what has been removed in order to make sure what is the alternative we should use. And finally, definitely we introduce some tools to make you more productive and JVM enhancement. So I will talk about them. But before I jump into starting with what check out about Java's important feature, I would like just to highlight what is the relationship mainly between JDK 16 and JDK 17 LTS. We know JDK 16 is the same like 14 and 15 and 13 even. and 12, if you would like to count it, before 11, which was LTS. It's always feature release backed by 6 months of support from Oracle or any other vendors who producing or developing JDK, same like Azure, same like Amazon Corito, Alibaba. There is Microsoft now. They have their own JDK introduced on the market as well. So it's always 6 months, and when the 6 months just end, there is no more support for this JDK. We are switching to the next one, which completely have all the features the same as the previous one. So yes, and what about JDK 17? Due in September, as we know, because we have 2 releases a year, one in March and the second will be in September. This is how we catch 6 months release cadence. And this one is really important because it's LTS. This is for the people or the companies that would like to migrate. Definitely they are going to migrate usually from Java 11 to 17 because they need the stability and support. The support goes for 5 years, and we have LTS each 3 years. And there is always 2 years overlapping, so they give you opportunity to migrate from the Java 11, for example, to Java 17. So you have still 2 years after the release of JDK 17. Then you will make use of this in order to really migrate, and then the support for JDK 11 will stop. Then you are using JDK 17, and this is how it's move on. So the last thing that I would like to mention, the relationship is Oracle frames really JDK 16 as a starting point for migration to Java 17. So if you're trying to use JDK 17 and your code is really running on JDK 16, there is a big opportunity to work on JDK 17 because this is the next LTS. We will find that all the preview features are standardized. There is no preview features in JDK 17. Most of the API incubator modules, they are finished or they are still exist, but mainly for the language features, it will be standardized. This is very important for you to be able to understand. This is why I wanted to mention this and what's new actually here. So let's jump to our agenda again, and let's check the first item, which is checking out of Java important feature. With these features made Java more sexier and innovative. And this is how it is. What I would like just to mention features like preview features, incubator modules, deprecation, and feature market for removal. I will go through this in a summary, but you have to understand it because I will mention all of these features during I'm mentioning all the JEPs here, Java Enhancement Proposals. So let's speak about JEP. Before also jumping, for each slide here you can see, you will find this small rounded box, which is highlighting now. If you click on it, like let me show you how it goes. So if you click here, it will open for you the related JEP in order to know more about this feature and read about it. So what is this feature about, in which version it's introduced, and all of this information. So the resources are always inside the feature. And then you will find this box, it's not clickable. It just give you insight in which version this JEP or feature are finalized or introduced. Whenever it's blue, means finalization. You will find 2 more boxes. We will talk about them. So I'm not going to go for each slide through or mentioning these boxes, so you know about them. Okay, great. So what about this feature? Let's see, a preview feature. Actually, it's a new feature we have added to the Java language, and we have to enable this as a flag in order to make use of this feature, which is not completed yet. It's not completed. Sometimes it's 80% completed, and I'm not sure it's relevant for the community or not. It could be also a new feature of the GVM and we call it at that moment preview VM feature, or it could be any related module, package, class, interface, method constructor, field, enum, or whatever it is in the package of java.x or Java package and this namespace, which is preview API. sometimes, if you consider like text block in Java 15, you will find there is 2 changes. The changes happen in the language itself to accept the 3 quotation mark in order to introduce the new feature language, and also there is some changes happens in the string class in terms of API to support that feature from the background. So this is how we call it. This is the relationship between the preview feature in the language and the preview API. So if we removed this feature, all the related API is going to be removed as well. So this is the preview feature, and you definitely will get warning from the compiler that you are using preview feature and it's in your risk. Okay, so what if I would like to enable this, because whenever you have the GDK and you have preview feature, you will have to enable them because it's based on your own risk to use them. So if I'm using J shell, I'm just writing J shell and with the flag enable preview, and it will enable preview for you the function and features that you can use. If you're not allowed to use them, and you will get compiler error. I don't know about this feature. What are you talking about, man? So you have to take care of this. And if you are using Maven or Gradle in the compiler plugin, you have to add an argument for compiler args as -- enable preview. And most of us using an IDE, so in case of IntelliJ or even Eclipse, you can just choose from the project language level. There is 16 and 16 in braces preview. You can choose preview. It will be all the features will be enabled for you. And if you don't want, you just restrict it to 16, and the compiler will always complain about the new features that you're trying to use. Incubator module, and it was introduced with Jp3 and this is, it's like, let me tell you something, like if we want to introduce a new API or new tool or non-trivial size of feature that related to an API, something like, for example, some modules that we are going to talk about, and the most important one we have experienced before, it's the GDK.incubator HTTP client. Most of the incubator modules goes under GDK.incubator module, then dot whatever it is, the package relevant to the tool or the API. It's just a pure APIs. It doesn't relate to any feature related to JVM or GDK. There is no specific keys to enable them. It's just out there, but they are under GDK incubator, and they might be standardized or might be removed as well. So for example, HTTP and WebSocket client module was introduced since Java 9, and it was under the incubator module GDK incubator.http client. And after 2 revisions in Java 9 and Java 10, we got the feedback from the people. We have changed it accordingly, and finally we decided to standardize it in Java 11, and definitely it goes to production under Java module named java.net.http. So this is how it works. This is allow us to introduce more features inside the GDK, so we can collect the feedback, change accordingly. Then mainly after 2 releases, we standardize either the incubator modules or even the language features. But sometimes it goes more based on the size of the feature and the feedback we collect from the people and the community. Enhanced deprecation, yes, we know that we always in Java for background compatibility, we don't have any opportunity to remove any feature. We just deprecating, annotate with deprecation. So you just know it's deprecated and you have to use something else if you are not lazy enough to do this. But if you are eager to clean up your, I'm not saying this was bad, because if I'm using something and nobody is going to tell me that we are going to remove this, I will continue using it, because also on the other side, I have to leave it in the GDK or the framework in order to still maintain the background compatibility, and it's costly and make the GDK more messy. So we decided to have 2 more functions inside deprecation and API which is since and for removal. For removal indicate this API is going to be removed since when? Since, for example, JDK 18. So don't confuse with since in deprecation and since in Java documentation for API, because this is very important. Since in deprecation means when it's going to be removed. And since in JDK documentation for API or class or something, it's since when it has been added to the JDK. So this is why we are now saying like it's market for removal. You will find a lot of JIPs talking about market for removal or for deprecation. It means we are going to remove it in the future release. Also, it takes like two JDK releases in order to remove a feature, and also based on the feedback. Now, after understanding all of this, let's see the new language features which is most important for every developer. And those features actually that made Java less verbose and concise. And let's see first something that everyone is talking about: records. Records, you can go to the JIP 395 here for more information. It was first previewed in JDK 14, tuned previewed in 15, standardized finally in JDK 16, so it's available to usage. So everyone before talking about when we have like VOs, when we have DTOs, and when we have all of these kind of carrier like classes, we have a lot of things to do. We used Lombok in order to maintain such things, but it's also introduce all the code just at the compilation time. So thanks for Lombok for that, this like reduction of code and make it less verbose. But sometimes also it gives some problems when you try, and especially when you are using Hibernate to leave the default two-string implementation. You have to override it because it might reference another collection and class, and then this class reference the first class. So we have cycle dependency here. So there is some problems that happen. But now with this record, it's really, we have a construct that just only taking care of the data inside it and make it identity. It's unmutable data carrier. So for example, previously, if you would like just to represent a point class that carry X and Y as a values, we have to write all of this. Like we have a class point, and all the features inside, which is instance variable, become constants. And you have to initialize them using the constructor, as you have seen here, because they are constant. And also you have the X and Y, you don't have provide setters because they are immutable. And you have to write equal method, hash code, and toString in order to complete all the features. And if you don't part of immutability, you have to mark this class as a final. So this is really verbose, and it takes a lot of time to write all of this, and sometimes error prone. And because whenever we write, we introduce errors. Whenever the machine do, less errors. So let's see how we can rewrite this using record. Providing record class, yes, it acts as a transparent carrier for immutable data. And they are considered as a nominal tuples. And the previous example, by reducing all the boilerplate ceremony of Java, the previous point class could be written like this. So just a new keyword, record, and then point, and then you provide between as a function. For example, I would like to maintain this data as a tuple of two values, X and Y. Okay, where is the hash code? Where is the toString? They are going to be implemented for you by default in an efficient way, even toString, and this record will be final, and that's it. So if you would like to maintain data carrier, here it is. See the difference between both? Okay, someone asked me before, like, what if I would like to check about the input value? Okay, we have constructors for record classes. We have a canonical form. So something like this, we just declare a normal constructor. We check about the values, and after that we can assign. If we are just only considering the assignment, the checking part, not the assignment, you can use the compact form of the constructor. So you don't have even to provide what is the input X and Y, because those acts as the input, and the compiler will infer that you're checking about this X and Y, and that's it. In this case, you cannot use any assignment because it's compact form. That's great. So what about, also we have some enhancement. So since last one, we can use record as a local construct inside the method. So this is useful when you have something like this. For example, I have find top merchants. I have a list of merchants, and I would like to group them or order them by the months sales in single months. So I can construct merchant sales as a record that have a merchant and also double the sales, and I can loop through merchant, map them to the new sales, passing the merchant and calling compute sales, giving the merchant and inside the sales and this months, and then sort them and then map them again to the merchant class, because we are listing returning list of merchant, and then collect all of these as a list of merchant. So see, it's very convenient now to have this a record, very concise. You don't have to have external class to represent this or local class. It's just simple construct. That's it. Okay, let's move to another feature which is very nice, which is Jp3 pattern matching, for instance of, it's allow us to express actually the extraction of the object and comparison using instance of more concisely and safely. Let's see. And pattern matching also in a Valhalla project and Ember, it's like playing very big role in order to enhance other constructs, and we will see this with switch again. So let's consider the equal method here. So normally in equal method, you would like to check out the object, and if it's an instance of this class, and then we can cast it, then we can check about this case sensitivity. But we have to have this like object casting. So in the new version, it becomes like this. So if O is instance of this class and it returns true, then please do the casting for me implicitly behind the hood, behind the curtains, and just assign this casting to this variable. Then I can use this variable normally, which is the cast happened for this class value. So let's consider more complex example for equal method, which is more normally used for point class. So we would like, if it's not an instance of point, return. If it is, just cast it. And then after casting, just make the comparison and see, because we need to check about the values. So we can reduce it like this. If O is an instance of point, true, then I will have the cast as a value inside others, and I can do the check, and that's it. And if it's returned false, it's going to say, no, they are not equal because they are making the checks here. So this is always going to be assigned, and it will be in the scope whenever this expression returns true. Nice. So pattern matching for switch, actually, this is something new, and it's introduced since like 1 week ago to be first review in JDK 17. So what happens here? Because we have pattern matching, and this is extend the capability of switch expression and switch statement to define complex data-oriented queries that can express concisely and safely as well. So let's see an example. Here, for example, I use formatter and object, and then I'm trying to query is, oh, this object instance of integer do this. If it's instance of long, if it's double string, do this and this and this, then return format. It's very lengthy. And if you are talking about computation, which is O notation, this is O of n, because you might also visit all the branches until you finish here and you didn't find anything. So how to make it O of 1? And then this would be more convenient. Let's see. This is how the
Mohamed, we cannot hear you right now.
Hello.
Yes.
Can you hear me now? I think
that
I have lost.
Right now we can hear you. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, you lost the connection to the server. Anyway, let's continue because of the time. So let me say yes. This is how the switch pattern matching will enhance the switch expression again and statement in the future and starting in GTK 17. So we have this enhancement, and this is how we can rewrite it again. This is the second enhancement. If you'd like to express null, for example, we are going to have it like this. If S is null, then do this and return. Don't do the switch. This is ugly and it doesn't make sense. So we decided to have it like this. The case could be the null could be also case, and it will be casted and checked. If it's null, do this, and it will be more concise and make sense. And also sometimes I would like to treat null as well as another case like string, so I can also have the case with more than one label. So also it's very, very good to work with sealed classes. Sealed classes we were going to talk about. So if I have sealed class or interface or whatever it is, and it permits some specific classes like this, and I have this boundary, I can use switch case to cycle over these permitted classes and make the casting for me, and then I have the operation over them. So I don't have to use if else for that purpose. And because we have talked about sealed classes, let's see what are sealed classes. So they first introduced JDK 15, 16, and will be finalized in 17. So sealed classes or interfaces, both of them restrict which other classes and interfaces may extend or implement them. So it was always a problem actually to not allowing other like, let's say, client or API users to use the main interface. Sometimes there is an interface and it has a specific implementations, and I want to hide this interface or class from implementation, means extension, and only I would like you to just only use the implemented classes. So it was hard. So we used some access modifier techniques. We used package private technique, and it was like it doesn't give it come with a price, because we are hiding the base class, so you cannot make use of it as a generalization sometimes. So to solve this problem and give you more access, so we decided to use it like this. So you can define abstract class, sealed class, for example, named shape, and you only say, I will permit these classes only to subclass this interface, and it's public. I don't care anymore, because if anyone tries outside these permitted classes to extend the shape, the compiler will give you an error. So what if I would like to open the extension for specific implementation? I will tell you how. And then, yes, here is the implementation of the circle, because it extends shape. If this is like you have mistaken and write A here, you will find compiler error, because it should match the same permitted class, and it should be final. It should be either final, sealed, or non-sealed, because you are also, it's closed for extension or open for extension. So this is final, so it's closed for extension. And then I can say also rectangle is a part of the shape, but also there is two more rectangles that we can represent, transparent and filled. And you can also use permitted, no problem. Then here is the implementation of these two classes. Finally, you have a square, which is extend the shape. There is no more squares, it's just only squares, same like circle. And I say, like, if you would like to implement some weird shapes in your own, I opened only for you to extend the class, which weird shape that also follow the rules of the shape. So it's open for you. How I can open this? I say non-sealed. So this is allow you to really control the extension. It's open for, it could be open, closed for modification, closed for extension, open for modification by doing this. So this is very great in order to maintain the APIs. So sealed classes, again, also it works really nice with records, because records are final class implicitly. So if you have something like this sealed interface and you're trying to represent mathematical expression using constant expression plus times negation and things like this, you can represent it like this, but it's more concise to have it as a sealed record like this. So because where is the final? Record is final implicitly, so you don't have to write this. Here's it's more concise, and then that's it, because they are data carrier as well. So you're just doing some operation over these kind of things. So this combination actually of the sealed classes and record classes sometimes refer to algebraic data type, and records classes allow us to express product types, and seed classes allow us to express some of the types. There is two enhancement happen also. I would like to mention, because it will give you compilation error if you're trying to use. Previously, you can write this before JDK 16, that old style array declaration. So you can write it like this. Since JDK 16 is not permitted anymore, and it will give you, if you try to write something like this, it will give you an error telling you this is legacy array notation, not allowed on record anymore. Another thing also which was inconvenient, that you can declare local annotation inside any method as a local construct, and this is not allowed anymore inside the Java language after Java 16. But I'm talking about annotation interface, not annotation, because we can declare interface as a local construct, so you will get this error. This is most the features that has been introduced and changes to the language in JDK 16 and 17. And now let's talk about the third thing, which is the improvement API and language. We have added, this is final in JDK 16. Sometimes people would like to work with date and time. We have added a representation for date and time, and rather than AM and PM, you can say in morning and at night or in evening. So if you have something that you have to import to use date time formatter normally, and I'm using local time. So if I say something like this, date time formatter of pattern B, which B represent the new formatter for this kind of expression, then please format the time now. It will say at night or in the morning or evening in our time. So you don't have to convert it to check AM, PM or something like that. Nice. We have also added one more method, which called inside stream directly. So previously, in order to the same like what happened in merchant and the merchant list, we have to have the merchants, which is a list of merchant. We get the stream. We would like to map some function. Then after mapping and sorting and all of this, we would like to return a list of that type. So we say collect, then provide the collector. It's long and not concise. So the new version is directly, we can say list, stream, do the mapping, sorting, then to list, and that's it. So, and it's introduced directly in the stream. It's not constrained in the collector. It's more efficient and return unmodifiable list, and not like the first version, which return mutable list. And you have to take care of this is not shortcut for collect to unmodifiable list, because modifiable list does not accept null, but this list accept null. So it's very efficient and optimal, especially allocates less memory if you have the stream size known in advance. Let's talk about this one. This is very important for us because we are using primitive data types everywhere. And then when it comes to collection and classes, we are using the wrapper classes. The idea behind this is to make all the value-based classes as immutable, as identity-based. It's not instance-based. So This is why we are trying here to deprecate all the constructors. You don't have to create the wrapper classes. This is why we are going to call it primitive wrappers. You don't have to construct it with a new construct, because it will be an instance, not an identity. So you will get this warning. How can I construct it? Just use auto boxing like before, or using some other things. This is here. This is apply also for optional int, optional long, optional double, and it's convenient for any classes. You can go to the JEP, read about all the APIs, mark it as a value based. It's annotation, and it's meant to be used inside the GDK to make the differentiation. So this is how you can from now on you can use the primitive wrappers. And this is also part of Project Valhalla to introduce significant enhancement to the Java programming language module form of primitive classes. This will allow us to really, when we would like to migrate, remove equal and use equal. Normally same like records. And also we can just use boxing or implicit boxing, or will be happen. And if you are trying to use something else like new rather than boxing, or calling one of the factory method, you will get linkage error. And finally, if you try to synchronize it, you will get an exception, because it doesn't have to be synchronized. It is identity based, so it's not immutable anymore, and not mutable anymore. So this JEP also, it's finalized in JDK 16. It brings the implementation of the sockets inside Unix as a native Unix. This is very important when there is two processes or more, because we are using Dockerization nowadays, and Docker based on mostly on Linux or Alpine or whatever, any Linux implementation operating system. And then sometimes we are running many Docker instances on the same machine. So if you would like more secure and more efficient communication rather than TCP loopback, this enhancement and this JEP introduced this for us on Linux. So so we have added all of this in order to support these features. So we have, yes, strongly encapsulate. As I told you, we are trying to move the people, developers, and tools from using internal GDK API, especially unsafe class, which dealing with memory allocation and calling native function, using things in order to have integration with operating system. So this was introduced since JDK 9. And it's controlled by illegal access, and it was since JDK 9 permit, so you can use reflection and you can use everything. And then now it becomes default deny. It's deniable to use local JDK internal by default. You have to relax it using this again. So this is to move forward and to introduce security and maintainability of the GDK as a part of Project Jigsaw. And this is also to allow us migrating from internal elements to use standard APIs. And you can use JDEPS tool to understand, to analyze your code, because it will fail. I had this problem when I tried to migrate from Java 15 and 16, and Lombok has a problem. They reported for me it uses internal API and cannot start. So it was a Lombok version something or 0.18, I remember, yes. 18, and then when I migrated to 20, it works normally because Lombok has implemented their library to fix this problem. Yes, it failed. So I searched about the problem and I fixed it this way. But you can use JDEPS, it's a JDK tool, in order to scan your code, report for you. You are using this internal API. If there is available alternative, it will also mention it for you. And for me, if I wanted to develop, like I use JDK 11, for example, I test existing code using illegal access warning to give me a warning to identify internal elements. And then by reflection, then I use debug to pinpoint any errors in the code or something like this. Then finally, when I finish all these problems, I test again with deny to see that my code is running without any complication, and that's it. So this is how I could migrate. We have two JIPs. This is enhancement. Those are considering moving GDK from Mercurial based source version control to Git version control. And this is really reduce the system and the size, metadata size, and also nobody using Mercurial anymore, and more of the developers and user and tools using GitHub and such related tools. And then this is the time to migrate in order also to encourage the collaboration from developers and others. So this is all about this. And since GDK 11, it's out there, and then the transition happens to Git, and then GitHub and Sakara project was responsible for this. Foreign linker API, this is incubator module in GDK 16. And this is very important because this is tries to offer statically typed pure Java access native code. We remember that to access this modification or native codes like C, we use JNI, Java Native Interface. And the goal of this is to provide a pure superior Java development module to replace this, to make it C support, so it can work on any with any new C implementation that work on POS architecture based 64-bit, and the new ARM architecture 64-bit. Generality, it could also implement another function, foreign function written in different language like C++ and Fortran. And finally, it should also provide a more performance that is comparable or even better than the GNI. This is very important. Same as well. The previous JIP and this JIP make a very good enhancement for the memory access. Why? Because this is foreign memory access API, allow programmer to safely access foreign memory outside JVM heap. And this one make a differentiation between memory segment and memory address. So the goal for it. Okay, and let me give you a case also why we have to use this, because if you are using like big data and these kind of tools, most of like new Java programs, something like Ignite, MapDB, Memcached, Lucent, Netty, even the Netty application server, byte buffer, they are trying to use native memory outside the heap in order to address very large memory and use this. Why they are doing this? To avoid the cost of unpredictability associated with garbage collection, especially when maintaining large caches. Secondly, it's more easier to share memory across multiple processes, and also serialize and deserialization of the memory content by mapping files into and from the memory. For example, like mmap, it's much easier than inside the heap. So Java start to think about this, like why we don't provide this out of the box inside such GDK in order to make it available for all the tools, not just only this kind of tool outsider implementation. Finally, also we brought the Victor implementation. This is will be second incubator in GDK 17, and the Victor implementation is talking about the scalable processing and virtualization, victorization, of the specific instruction sets for different processors. And the goal for this is to have a clear and concise API that expresses a range of vector computations, and also it should be platform agnostic, so it support multiple CPU architecture and offer reliable runtime compilation for both architecture that we are talking about, because the ARM the ARM architecture also become very wide usage nowadays. And finally, graceful. So if you are running vector computation and it finds that there is no support for the current architecture things, it will work normally without any kind of exception or runtime exception, and just degrade gracefully. A final enhancement is elastic metaspace, and this is the people who is trying to work with metaspace. Like this is intentionally meant for class loaders, because previously when you are the GDK start to warm up and trying to load all the classes, they have to maintain the metadata about the class information, about the methods, about the location, the size, and everything inside the meta space. It was inside the heap, and it was a lot of like large part of the heap, and it's not committed back to the operating system frequently. And sometimes it's fragmented, defragmented, sorry, and it make problems. So we decided to use body byte implementation for allocation schema. And this is finally, all the goal is just to allow frequent commission of the unused memory metadata to operating system in order to just make use of the memory, not to waste it, and also small sizes instead of large granular like sized memory that can be committed and uncommitted independently of each other. I don't have to scan the whole large part in order to see what I have to uncommit. No, it's just independent, and it will be much faster and more efficient. This is more enhancement, like you'd see a lot of enhancement in memory space here. So you will really get a very enhanced GDK. So let's now, we have seen the new features. Let's say goodbye for some features. And to make Java more cleaner, RMI has been marked for removal. And this part of remove RMI activation has been removed, and it will be removed finally in GDK. All the related implementation in like Java Beans activation framework, also it's renamed to Jakarta activation, and it's part of Eclipse Enterprise Eclipse 4J, and now it doesn't affect any kind of like problems when we move this feature because it's not relevant anymore. So let's see, like also we have deprecated finally for removal, you know, because it was deprecated because nobody support applet anymore. So we decided to remove it. And there is a lot of classes is going to be removed because we have deprecated applet since Java 9. And also we have removed the experimental ahead of time and JIT just-in-time compiler inside the GDK because it was costly, maintainable, it's not used so much. And then we decided to not include in GDK builds published by Oracle. And if you would like to use such experimental or use such compiler interfaces, simply you can use Grail VM because they are Grail implementation features. There is significant removal. We have disabled TLS version 1 and 1.2 in order to enable 1.1, in order to enable 1.2 and 3. So also we have removed all the certificate that was signed with any RSA 1024-bit key from the certificate authority certs inside the key store. Also, we have removed the legacy Eclipse curve, and there is part of the signal chaining API has been deprecated, 2 methods, and some others like we have terminally deprecated thread group like stop, destroy, is destroyed, set daemons, is daemons are really deprecated, and they are going to be removed. Finally, also we have deprecated some flags that if you need to unify all the logging inside the system, we have deprecated all these features, and you can use also the new flags in order to unify the logging over the GVM for exceptions, for class and loadings, and for loading the classes. So those are the alternatives. So those are the significant removal for GDK. And finally, let's talk about what the new tools. This is one of the tool that I liked actually, which is packaging tool. And now we have JPackage. It's finalized in GDK 16, and it allow you to natively package your application, jar application, to have like installation module without using any kind of external libraries. So you can have these format MSI, exe on Windows, the package and DMG on macOS, and deb and RBM on Linux. So how to use it? So by default, JPackage produce the package by default. If you're just using the package, and based on the operating system you are working on, it will produce the packaging for you, format. Other than this, we can also tweak it. And suppose that we have an application composed of jar files, and all of these jar files and library are located inside the lib folder, and I have my application in the main.jar. So how I can package it? Simply, I can use JPackage give the name for my package. The input is the library. The library is inside the lib and also my class, and then I say here is my class. That is the starting point. So what if I would like to change the type, or I don't specify inside the meta-inf the information about the main class? So you can also add main class. Here is my main. Also, if you'd like to change even the format, you can specify this flag dash type and just say package or MSI or deb or whatever it is. So it's very simple and easy. We have Alpine Linux port. This is very important for people working on Dockerization, embedded systems, or the people who are seeking for reduced size. And the Alpine Linux distribution is very, very, very famous because you will have, if you are working with containerization based on Alpine, you will have an image size which less than 6 megabytes. And this is very convenient for embedded systems and cloud as well. So we have used this as a part. So now you can have JDK 16 and 17 as well as Alpine Linux by default. We are not waiting for external, and also external like maintainers to provide this for us. It's come out of the box. And also for your application, beside Alpine Linux, if you are using JLinker, you can reduce your application dependencies and modules only required to run your application. So you have reduced your application size and runtime environment and the operating system size. So you will end up with a really, really tiny sized Docker. We have Windows support now for any server class running on ARM architecture 64-bit because it becomes more widely. So we are trying to support Java on more wide devices. So we have port for this in JDK 16. And also in JDK 17, we also introduced another fork for ARM-based because, Apple just moved to M1 processor, the new one based on ARM 64-bit, and then we have to support this also. So you can now download it and test it. So it's worked perfectly on the new Mac and implement all the feature reliable for this processor. So by the end of this, we have reached to the end of our agenda. And I would like to thank you very much for listening. And we have like 15 minutes, I think, for questions. So I would love to hear from you.
Yeah, thank you, Mohamed, for a very detailed and well-refined presentation. And there is one question from Mohamed Fatih. Wasn't Alpine port was removed on last minute from Java 16? Alpine port wasn't Alpine port was removed on last minute from Java 16?
Again, the question I didn't. Was the Alpine Linux?
Yeah, he's asking about the Alpine Linux. Sorry.
So I mean, if you are looking for Alpine Linux, for example, to start, it's Java 16.
Says it is. He's just asking, is it removed on last minute from Java 16 or not?
Is it removed?
Yeah, remove. Remove from the Java. Yeah, remove.
No. It's a new feature. It's a new feature added. It's not removed. We have added the support for Alpine.
He mentions it. Isn't it removed last minute from the Java 16? Okay. And there are new questions. Do you think new Java features such as record and sealed class are affected by Kotlin? Fatih Eser asked. I can reply the question. Do you think new Java features such as record and sealed class are affected by Kotlin? Okay. You cannot hear me? Can you hear me now? Okay.
İkisini duyabiliyoruz Hayrettin ama Muhammed'in galiba sesi gitti. Bir saniye.
All right. You cannot hear me. Let's try to chat.
Ben seni duyabiliyorum. Onun şey gitti, sesi gitti. Not connect to audio. We have problem, Mohamed. It's not about us.
Yeah.
Connect to audio.
You can hear me now? I think there is a little communication issue. Can you hear me?
Maybe it's about the Bluetooth.
Yeah. The backup solution.
Still, you cannot. The audio
Okay.
is off.
For now? Okay.
Maybe you should log out and you can log in and you can.
Mohamed, just open your microphone. I think the audio is okay, but you have to click.
But he cannot hear.
Now we can hear.
It's not
yes.
about them. Can you hear me? It was just I lost the connection and then tried. I'm connecting to the audio. Then you lost all my.
Okay.
So I think that the last question was about is this effective? Kotlin is something else. It's not about Java. So if they have data carriers, they have data class, and they have this implementation, but it doesn't mean that it's in Kotlin. I don't have to have it in Java because they are different. So if you are a Java developer or Android developer using like Java, I have to give you such a classes, such a features in order to use it inside Java. They are different languages. So, but yes, they are based on the JVM. But when it comes to language features, they are different.
Yeah.
There are
the other question I sent you. I don't chat.
There are. Okay, let me read it. There are many different programming paradigms combined into Java language, such as imperative, reactive, object-oriented. Do you see having so much feature in Java as an advantage or disadvantage? Learning curve. This is because of the learning curve and increasing, and people are moving toward more domain-specific language. It's based Java. We know that Java is general purpose language, and we are using Java in embedded systems, mobile, server class, desktop, applications, a lot of stuff. But this is normal. There is a lot of tools has been implementing using Java, so I have to have this kind of reactive APIs, and this kind of implementations should be out there in order to support this wide usage. If you have seen the big data, mainly most of the big data tools has been developed in Java or Scala, for example. Java is majority. So most of the feature we are trying to adapt is coming from these people who's trying to address some problems. So yes, I have to be object-oriented, which is the main goal of any language. Any language provide also the reactive paradigm and beside the primitive, and which is called also functional programming as well. This is very important because we are working with data. When it comes to data, we need this kind of scalability. So if you would like, it's based on you, what you want to use the language for, then you learn the curve. Yes, learning curve becomes more a little bit longer because we are introducing a lot of features in just each, sometimes 6 months. But we are trying also to speak about it. We are trying to give you awareness about it. Not all the feature you are going to use, but mainly we are using as developers or architects, we are using the language features and API more than even the memory enhancement and things. But this comes when you are deploying yourselves. So yes, everything has disadvantage. I see the only disadvantage is that you need to spend some effort to learn the new features and go deep if you want really to make use of it longer and longer. Just know about it as I showed you, I know there is record, I know there is a sealed classes, I'm going to read about them. I would like just to understand when I can use them as a key. Then when I really find the case to make use of them, I will go deep to read about it, how to use the full capability of this language. Same like I'm learning about database. I know how to use it. I know the difference between NoSQL and SQL, and I can identify the case, but I don't have to deeply learn about NoSQL database, some specific implementation just to understand. No, don't do this. This will waste your time. I also, as I say, there is no harm and there is no wasting knowledge, but if you, and nowadays we are really seeking to have a lot of information. There is a lot of features coming in any tools, language, and everything. Just have horizontal knowledge, and then when you would like to, you identify the case, go vertically.
Okay, and there is another question. I'm sending you over chat.
When will we
see multiple values from a method in future in Java?
Multiple values returns. Okay, we are single value. This is tweaked actually by the inheritance and polymorphism. Actually, and generics. So we have this. Yes, we can. This is the implementation currently in Java, but I think that we are not going to change it because we provided this based on the polymorphism and generics. So you can have multiple different, return type, same like factory methods and everything like that. We have different implementation, but it's one method. Then using also pattern matching and this kind of stuff make it easy for extraction, identifying the base implementation for things.
Yeah, there are no questions right now. I can see no question in chat. And I think that's okay for our session. Any last minute question? No.
So, okay. I encourage you to contact me if you have any more question left after the session or something you encountered. You can go to my, as I told you before, Twitter as well, email me, LinkedIn, whatever it is, or even if you have question, contacted to the JUG leaders here and organizers, just they will forward to me and we can publish it or whatever it is. So thank you very much, and thank you for listening for this like intense presentation, because there is a lot of like JIPS enhancement things, and I would like, I wanted to have also Java 17 as well, because it's very important to you. As I told you, it's LTS, so most of the company will be interested to know about it. And you can have this presentation, which as I will share with you now. Let's, before we jump in, do something like this. Then I will do something much easier like this, full screen, copy and paste. Here is in the chat. So the presentation is with our friends, so they can publish it for you guys. You can have it as a reference, can read about it and find it everywhere. Thank you very much for having me again. It was always a pleasure. Can you open
Mohamed,
it?
There is a question. If you want to answer, if you have time. Rafet asks, I will also share with you. Just a moment. Yeah, is Java release train going on very fastly? They are releasing a new version almost every 6 months. Do you see any problem in case of releasing a new JDK version in very short time period? Thanks.
This is
regarding the
term
release
of a new version. It just the same like any languages now, because we were complaining Java was like very slow, produced every 3-4 years, and Python and Python and Scala and Groovy and all these languages like Kotlin, they are speeding up and they're providing a lot of libraries and everything, and they have a lot of enhancement. Like and then Java come with bunch of features along with this. Then we decided, okay, we should provide like short versions with a little bit function so people can take, you know, into consideration. And it's not LTS, because whenever we have previously released version, it's LTS, long-term support. So this is why we have bunch. This is allow us to speed up. Yes, we need to speed up because we need to catch all the gaps out there. We need also, we are not just releasing for developers, we are releasing for students to learn about Java, to make it easy and concise, because we have a lot of complaint. Some people removed, switch it to the different languages. Like, why? Java is really one of the robust languages, and all languages still running #1 until now. Yes, we have Python, we have C#, we have language, but we have a specific domain. But Java is still multi-general purpose language, and it's become, this is why we have this forking, you know, to different platform. We have things, it's somehow very fast, a little bit for some people because they don't used to, but just read about it. You will have a couple of JIPs and release notes, and you'll know about the things along. So yes, we have to catch the train of the innovation cloud. You know, there is a lot of changes happening in the market, so we have to catch it. Paradigms, you know, there is a lot of paradigms just going to introduce like reactive and things like this and functional programming. If I stayed like a very slow like turtle, I will not catch this. And fortunately, we have a very large community-based people working and supporting Java, either by JUGs, community, Java champions, companies, you know, conferences, people themselves. Like, it's a huge. So I would like to provide you a first-class language that give you all the things that you need in a very fast way to compete with other languages. And also, I am considering that you cannot find any language that's still in the market waiting for its community feedback. This is how the preview feature works. If you get back to the switch statement, we changed the break in the to as a returning value, break something to yield. We didn't invent it. It was feedback. Break, it doesn't sound very good. So when we generate result, yield it could be possible. Like, okay, why not? So we changed it and standardized in Java 14. Things like this, things like text block. We waited for 5 like iterations, to be honest, since long time to introduce, and we withdraw then the proposal. Then we introduce it. Then when we get the feedback, no complaint, we introduce. So we are giving the new feature. You try it, you give the feedback, what you like. We trying to develop what you like. So it's your language. It's not our language.
Exactly. There are no questions yet. Mohamed, thank you so much, and for detailed presentation and the answers. I think everyone gets very good answers from the questions. And yeah.
So thank you very much. I wish you a really great day, because you have a lot of coming day with great speakers. I have opportunity to know most of them. They are great. So guys, stay tuned with these speakers. They are going to give you a bunch of information, because either they are working for big company, or they have a really, really vast experience in different fields. So thank you for picking this excellent speeches for many developers, for your efforts, and providing as a free conference for people behind this. Really, I appreciate your efforts. Thanks for the attendees to take the time to present, to learn something new, and we are here to help each other.
Thank you. Thank you.
Safe and safe day, and see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.